Hi everyone, I'm looking today at a technique I've seen of using oil on papers to make the papers translucent, and I've hunted through my home and I don't have any baby oil, but I do have this wild argan oil, so I'm going to have a try with that. I'm also adding a little bit of perfume because I want these little pieces of what will be ephemera to have a really lovely fragrance to them. So I'm working with papers from the Watercolour Ephemera, and I've printed some of these papers. I want to see what these will look like as flips with something hidden underneath them when they're quite translucent, and the same with these ones. So I'm experimenting with really heavily coloured pieces and some with the white on the background. And this one is again heavily coloured, but it's quite pale, so when that's translucent I think that'll look lovely. I think these will be beautiful translucent because you'll be able to use them as little tucks and decorations and still see things underneath them. They've mostly got white on the background. And these ones, I'm really interested to see how these ones go, again to make little pockets and tucks where you can see through them. So I'll show you what I'll do. So I'm just going to take one of the pieces of paper, and I've got this argan oil. I'm just going to squirt some of this over it and then make a little puddle in the middle and just put one squirt of perfume, and then just massaging the oil in. And I'm going to flip this while that's oily so that I've got some oil underneath, and do the same on the back just with the oil. Don't want it to be too strong with the perfume. And it does take a little while for the oil to soak in and the paper to become translucent. You don't see it immediately. Now this one is fresh off the printer, and I should have grabbed it. It's got some little colourings on the back, which when it's translucent you'll be able to see them. So sometimes when I print, the ink on the top image comes out on the back of the paper that lands on top of it. But we'll hopefully... So you can see that's, if I put something behind that, it's starting to be a little bit translucent, but it will become more so as you leave it to sit. So I'm just going to let that one sit for a minute, and once it's soaked right through I will wipe the oil off. You can see that's smudging just a little bit. And let me try with one of these that are heavily pigmented. So I'm going to do it from the back. Again, I've just printed them, so I probably should have left them for a little while, but I just wanted to have a go at this technique. So because they're just freshly printed, I'm just going to put the oil on the back and let it sit and soak through, and hopefully there's enough oil on the underside on the mat to start the other side off. And if you don't want to get oily fingers, you could try using a cotton bud or a tissue or something to get that oil spread out and on it. You're just wanting to make sure you get every piece of the paper, so you just want to cover it all completely. And what I might do is, because this is just printed and I know that's going to run, I'm just going to give it a burst with the heat gun. Okay. Alright, let's see how that's worked. So it's still fairly oily just from sitting on the back. But I'm just going to give it a little bit more. And that was enough to make those colours set, which is great. You can already see, hopefully if I bring that up to the camera, you can see just in this white section how some of the papers has accepted the oil and some it's just going to take a little while to soak in. But it is already, you can see already that it's becoming translucent there. Okay, so while that one's nice and oily, I'm going to sit this next one on top of it and do the same thing. So that's the process, really simple. I'm going to do all of the papers and then I will come back and show you the difference between straight off the printer and then with the oil perfume treatment on it. So I'll be back in a little while. Here they are, it's the next day. So here's the original off the printer. Just on the plain white paper, and you can see that if I hold my post-it pad under it, that it isn't, you can't see that post-it pad under there. And then here is the treated one with oil. So I'll try and see if I can position them so that you can see. So it's stayed really, this one has stayed really bright. And then if I show you with the post-it note under it, you can see how translucent that is. I just love this one, it's beautiful. And the thickness of the paper now, it's like vellum. It's really quite sturdy now, whereas if you look at the printer paper, it's this has thickened it up. It's beautiful and it smells absolutely divine. So that's that one. This was the butterfly one, and again with the post-it notes, you can't see that under there. So that's the butterflies. And if I show you this one here, you can see even just sitting it on top of the other paper, you can see all the butterflies underneath. So this one's really lovely, and again with the post-it notes pattern, you can see how translucent that is. It's just lovely, and like the colours have, it's really retained the brightness. If you look at it there, it's stayed really lovely and bright. And remember, these were printed straight off the printer. I didn't really even allow them to dry. This is this one, and I was really keen on getting this side of the sheet, and I'm really happy with that. So this is this one here, and again really translucent and just beautiful, really delicate. If I compare the two lots of colours there, this is, so even with all the white space, because this was largely white, this is just lovely and soft and pretty. Just perfect. This is the one with the birds and a lot of white space, and again with the post-it notes you can barely see it. And then this is the treated one, and really translucent. You can see that pattern very clearly through there, and again it's retained, the colours are just beautiful. So you don't lose a lot of colour, and it's really, you can see the pattern underneath there, really translucent. This is the, I was really interested in these. So these were solid colour watercolour cards, and these tags had a little bit of white on them. And then this is the treated one, and again you can just see how translucent they are. These are going to be beautiful. I was thinking of making these as flips where you can hide something underneath. And again, the colour is just beautiful. You don't lose a lot of colour at all. In fact, I think these ones look even brighter. This is the treated one on top. Lovely. And this one here, this is the printed solid colour experiment. And this is the treated one, and you can see that it's translucent. Even under the darker colours you can still see that pattern, and there, just beautiful. And even under this really heavily coloured one here, you can still see that pattern. The last two I was going to show you, what I did after I treated them, I let them sit, I rubbed the oil off, and then I put them between two sheets of paper towel with a hot iron. And you can see on this one, just here, this one has bubbled a little bit. So it's only on the white part on this one, so it's fine, it won't affect the image. It's kind of separated the sheets. You can probably see it better on the back. It's like a little air bubble, so the paper has separated. So I think I had the iron too hot. And this is the last one, so that's straight off the printer. And this one was the last sheet I printed before I started it, and I rubbed a bit of the ink off with the oil. I didn't let it dry at all. And you can see if you look down there on the fox, I should have let this ink dry on the printer, but it was an experiment, so I'll know that for next time. But these are lovely. These are really translucent. If you look at the little bird here with the pattern behind it, you can see it's just lovely, and they're really, really pretty. And again, this one I had steam on the iron, and it's bubbled. Again, you can see it on the back. It's just got a couple of little bubbles. So I think if you cut it, you could probably pop some glue in there and glue that down if you really wanted to save it. But it's only on those couple of little images. So for an experiment, I'm really happy with that. So that's how they all worked out. I'm going to make a few little things just to show you how I can use these papers, and I'll be back. So here are a few things I've put together. So I use these little pretty watercolour strips to just make a little pocket tuck, and I've just popped some plain tags in there, and they just look lovely, and you can see the tag through them when you pull it out. And on the other side I've made just a little flip up so you could have something hidden under there. I've used these little nature bird ones, and I've just made a couple of little corner tucks, and they hold cards nicely in there. And on the other side I've used these were the watercolour little stickers, and I've used those just to make little pockets for tags. I use this piece to make just a pretty little notebook. I made a little coin envelope with a little card in there, and a couple of just miniature envelopes just with a little journaling card in them. Oh, these are beautiful, just to tuck over a page, and you can see that they are see-through. You can see the lines underneath there. So that's a few of the things I've made with them. I hope you have a go at this technique. It was really a lot of fun, and it does make some beautiful papers that are very useful.